Questions tonight about whether PUNTA GORDA Police Chief Tom Lewis will keep his job. A jury acquitted the chief of culpable negligence yesterday after one of his officers shot and killed retired librarian Mary Knowlton during a police demonstration last year. Lewis remains on paid administrative leave during the city's internal investigation.
NBC2's Joe Petrello is speaking with community members about whether the chief should keep his job.
PUNTA GORDA Police Chief Tom Lewis wasn't the one who shot and killed Mary Knowlton. It was former officer Lee Cole. But even after Lewis was found not guilty of a misdemeanor culpable negligence charge, some people like Thomas Culkin believe the city should cut ties with him.
It was his department. Someone lost their life under his watch, and it's probably best for the department, the city, the town, for him to step aside and let somebody else come in.
City officials are doing an internal investigation that will decide what's next for Lewis. Others in the community still stand by their police chief.
I don't feel that the chief of police should have been held accountable. Unfortunately, this day and time, I think a lot of times when we have tragedy, we want to create more tragedy in order to solve it, and I don't believe that's the answer.
Over at the PUNTA GORDA Police Department, Lewis will remain chief, but on administrative paid leave, at least until the internal investigation is complete.
They're going to sit down and interview each of the officers and get a full understanding from their perspective of what happened, and they'll report those findings, their findings, back to the city manager so he can make his decision.
Pareda says the investigation shouldn't take long, but couldn't give an exact time. Reporting in Charlotte County, Joe Petrello, NBC2.
Officer Lee Cole is facing a much more serious charge of manslaughter. His trial date has not been set. The city fired Cole. Now he's asking for disability, saying he has PTSD. That hearing is next month. Count on NBC2 to let you know what happened.
The case was sandbaged at the last minute, which is illegal, told the jury that Tom had to have intent. Which of course is not what happened. It's so corrupt here they threw the case because Tom Lewis would have been the first police chief charged for negligence. They couldn't have that happen, so the thick blue line of corruption kicked in again. Police chief's trial over, but Knowlton tragedy drags on. By Ann Easker. Staff writer. PUNTA GORDA Police Chief Tom Lewis was acquitted Thursday of his culpable negligence charge related to the death of retired citizen Mary Knowlton, but for the Knowlton family, the horror doesn't end. I feel like a bomb went off yesterday and this is the aftermath, Mary's son, Steve Knowlton, said Friday. There's a knot in my stomach. I just feel sick to my stomach. Mary was fatally shot August 9, 2016, by then PUNTA GORDA police officer Lee Cole during a role-playing demonstration using a live firearm. Though Cole intended to load his weapon with blanks, it was actually loaded with wad cutters, a now rare form of ammunition used for target practice in the 80s and 90s. According to defense arguments, Lewis could not have known Cole would break department policies by using ammunition not approved by the department and aiming his gun at a civilian. Steve Knowlton, Mary's son, said he feels like Lewis got off because of legal mumbo-jumbo. Obviously there was a crime there, and Tom Lewis is guilty of something, Steve said. Whether you call it culpable negligence, there are a number of violations he performed. A pivotal moment in the trial occurred when Judge Devin George made a ruling on jury instructions in favor of the defense, changing the definition of culpable negligence to include knowledge that Lewis' actions were likely to cause injury or death. It's a ruling Steve thinks changed everything. I could tell it threw a curveball into the game, Steve said. Everyone was pretty much in shock. Steve said he still intends to get justice for his mom, whatever it takes, just like she would do for him. She was the nicest woman in the world, but if she saw injustice, boy, you better watch out, he said. She would fight to the end for you. Alex Dean, an NRA-certified firearms instructor who has followed the case closely, said prosecutors should have focused more on what Lewis should have known, which is also included in the culpable negligence definition, rather than what he did or didn't know. The superior should have known, he said. If you use I didn't know, then that is a 100% affirmative defense for anything and everything all the time, because there is no way to know what every officer is doing while out in their vehicles each and every day, and so on. Dean believes the case is an example of law enforcement officers being treated differently from civilians. There are just tons and tons and tons of good people who, when they're interviewed, say, "Oh, this was just a mistake," Dean said. They treat it like you spilled a soda, not like a dead body. Dean said it's becoming more common for firearm instructors to be held responsible for any reckless shooting that happens in their classrooms, which he believes is how it should be. Friends of his in law enforcement have asked whether he would want to be charged if one of his students fatally shot someone else in one of his classrooms. He said of course he wouldn't want to be charged, but he unequivocally should be. "I am the one that is creating the situation that led to their death," he said. Period. End of the story. "They came to my classroom, that puts it under my responsibility." Lewis' status with the police department is still in limbo while an internal affairs investigation led by PGPD-LT. Terry Cochran examines possible department violations which could be cause for discipline, including termination. Lewis has been on paid leave since the shooting. From August 10 to February 22, he received $53,858.40 gross pay, and from February 23 to July 2, he received $34,287.84 admin leave with pay. Lewis refused to comment after the trial. Supporters on the Facebook page Keep Chief Tom posted a news article about the verdict with the comment, "Chief Tom has been acquitted." While the police department still has to complete its internal affairs investigation, this is an incredible victory for our chief. Thank you to everyone for your support. An online fundraising campaign for Lewis' legal defense raised $6,830. That number does not include additional fundraisers held by local restaurants. Several of Lewis' colleagues, who were also state witnesses in the case, donated to the fund. State Attorney Stephen Russell, who brought the charge against Lewis, provided the following statement: "I believe the evidence was presented in a fair and professional manner with both the state and defendant being well represented. The jury was conscientious in considering the evidence in the context of the given law and reached their verdict, which we will respect, as always. As there is a related pending case, we will have no additional comment at this time." Email, aeasker@sun-herald.com. Community reacts to Lewis' verdict. By Ethan Katz. Staff writer. Punta Gorda Gene Sims, a law enforcement veteran and firearms instructor of 33 years, gave a simple answer when prosecutors asked when he'd use a real gun in a police demonstration: never. Yet that's exactly what happened nearly a year ago when then PGPD officer Lee Coell shot and killed 73-year-old Mary Knowlton in a shoot-slash-don't shoot demonstration. Coell, who has been charged with manslaughter, was fired by Punta Gorda Police Chief Tom Lewis in March, 6 months after the shooting. Sims' testimony came during Chief Lewis' own trial related to the incident, in which he was charged with culpable negligence for his role in Knowlton's untimely death. After a week of courtroom deliberations, the jury reached a verdict of not guilty Thursday. The verdict elicited strong responses from some members of the community, many of whom have followed the aftermath of the shooting. "Naively, I was surprised," said Robin Jenkins of Punta Gorda. "No one did anything maliciously, but it was a mistake. Responsibility needs to be taken, and Chief Lewis was the first to do so immediately afterward. He should have resigned." Eileen Glassman, another Punta Gorda resident, also believes Lewis should lose his job for allowing a real firearm to be used. "I've heard of other police departments doing similar exercises, but they use plastic guns. I understand the difficulty officers face every day, especially in shoot-slash-don't shoot scenarios, but in this circumstance, I do not think they needed a real gun," said Glassman. The Punta Gorda Police Department had no written safety protocol for the demonstration, which it had conducted 5 previous times, and no officer was ever singled out as the safety officer for the event. Officer Brandon Angelini stated everyone is a safety officer during community demonstrations on Wednesday during Lewis' trial, explaining the lack of a designated safety officer. Before the simulation began, officers inspected the fake gun Knowlton was given to determine live rounds were not and could not be loaded. At no time prior to the demonstration was COLLIER's gun inspected for safety. The Chamber of Commerce participants were never warned a firearm would be discharged at any point during the demonstration. Al Lessman, a retired law enforcement officer, said he'd feel disappointed if Lewis was fully reinstated as chief of police. He bears the responsibility for his negligence even if he's been cleared legally. Not everyone in the community feels Lewis should lose his job. Fundraisers for Lewis Defense Fund have been held, and a Facebook page titled Keep Chief Tom has nearly 300 likes. A post on the page celebrated the verdict, saying Chief Tom has been acquitted. While the police department still has to complete its internal affairs investigation, this is an incredible victory for our chief. Thank you everyone for your support. Lewis online fundraising page, Fund Chief Lewis Legal Defense raised nearly $7,000. Chief Lewis' future in the Punta Gorda Police Department will be determined by City Manager Howard Koenig's office at the conclusion of the city's internal affairs investigation. This is correct. Howard Koenig hired nutcase Punta Gorda Police Chief Tom Lewis. Even though he already was busted for stalking his ex-wife and all of her friends while on duty and off and used other cops to do the same. Howard Koenig trespassed 2 Colombian pesos watchers for life because they were investigating the corruption on Tom Lewis. No search for Koenig replacement. By Jonathan Choice. Staff writer. Punta Gorda. Multiple city officials deny a news report claiming Punta Gorda is actively searching for a city manager. Howard Koenig, Punta Gorda city manager, is set to retire June 2018, entering the deferred retirement option program, which would allow him to retire without the city terminating his employment. Should the city council want to retain Koenig's service, it could offer him a contract for the position. Koenig, Mayor Rachel Kiesling and Gary Wine, the city's vice mayor, denied the city is actively looking for Koenig's replacement. The answer is no, Koenig said, laughing off the news article, published by Tampa Bay newspapers, which was detailing coastal cities looking for city managers. Punta Gorda was mentioned along with Treasure Island, Oldsmar, Dunedin, Madeira Beach, and Marco Island. There is no search. And I think I would know, Koenig said, dispelling the report. ICMA senior advisor Mark Durbin, who conducted a staffing search for Treasure Island, said he's not aware that Punta Gorda is hunting for a city manager. That being said, Wine said perhaps the city council should discuss its future plans once Koenig becomes drop eligible. As city council, we haven't had any conversations. But maybe now is a good time to have those conversations rather than in the 11th hour, Wine said. It's a problem other communities are having as well. It's a discussion we may want to have openly with our city lawyer. Kiesling, via email, said she would support Koenig returning as city manager. Email, jscholes@sun-herald.com.
All new on Wink News at 6.
The chief has been doing a PR campaign about, I'm open, I'm honest, anything you want to talk about. Well, he doesn't want to talk about these other incidents. He didn't release these other incidents until you had to go digging through like a madman to find them.
Wink News pushes to get memos from the Punta Gorda Police Department about Lee Cole, the cop who shot 73-year-old Mary Knowlton during a shoot, don't shoot citizens demonstration back in August. These are memos that have never been made public before.
And tonight we'll tell you about the memo from an officer who trains other cops witnessing Lee Cole making what she basically calls a wrongful arrest. Wink News investigative reporter Dave Colbreth has the exclusive.
This sort of stuff should be unacceptable in any law enforcement agency.
He was a one-man wrecking crew in Punta Gorda, and nobody tried to stop him.
Is he fabricating things? Is he making things up just to make the arrest?
3 longtime Charlotte County attorneys, all who have also been prosecutors in their career, read this memo about an arrest made by Lee Cole, which the Punta Gorda police never released until Wink News spent a great deal of effort and hundreds of dollars.
Just shows that the Punta Gorda Police Department was hiding this stuff. Every news agency in the country was asking for these type of documents.
The memo really hit home for Steve Leskovich because it was about his client, Jacob Hill.
You always hear about corruption, but then to actually read it and know that it happens to someone you know is actually quite disheartening.
On June 23, 2015, Officer Bonnie Buckaloo sent this memo to the Punta Gorda Police administrators.
They knew roughly 8 hours after this arrest.
Buckaloo, along with another officer, came upon Lee Cole, who had pulled Hill over for driving the wrong way on this one-way street. First, Cole had his dog sniff around the vehicle for drugs, but it did not detect any. After that, Cole said that he was changing hats and now going to try for a DUI.
He's fishing for something.
Buckaloo also wrote that Cole did not ask any of the related DUI questions and that she did not observe anything that would indicate an impaired driver.
Falling over, stumbling, no odor of alcohol, no bloodshot, watery eyes. None of that information is written anywhere in any of the reports.
Buckaloo summed it up by writing that Cole performed the requested sobriety exercises without any notable concerns, and that he probably should not have been placed under arrest.
It's shocking to read an officer's report that says another officer was seeking or finding a reason to make an arrest. Why is he even arrested?
Apparently, that's also what people in the state attorney's office wondered, because Wink News obtained these documents from them, where a prosecutor writes, "I do not see how there was enough for a DUI arrest, and if that's out, then there's no probable cause to search."
I would bet $1,000 the state attorney had no idea that there was another officer on scene who believes that this was a false arrest.
So, the state attorney's office started playing Let's Make a Deal and said it would drop 5 of the 7 charges, including 2 felonies and the DUI.
DUI getting dropped almost never. I mean, it is a very, very rare circumstance.
I can count on one hand how many times a DUI has been dismissed prior to charges being filed. This is one of them.
When the state attorney's office offered to drop most of the charges, Jacob Hill pled to minor possession of weed and got out of jail immediately.
He pled to those because he was in jail for 35 days and he needed to get out. Who's not going to take that?
Wink News talked to Jacob Hill, who lost his driver's license for a whole year, his apartment, and his job.
And now when he's looking for employment, what shows up on his background? A DUI. Who the heck's going to hire somebody with that kind of record?
So, what did the Punta Gorda police do about this memo? It said it was successfully prosecuted with the means of a plea.
And I have to tell you this. Any department that defines this as a successful prosecution, they should all resign.
Without asking, the Punta Gorda police also gave us emails saying things like, Buckaloo seems to have an obvious dislike for Lee Cole, stating to other officers that she refuses to acknowledge him or back him up on traffic stops.
She's one of their current own. She's part of the blue line. You don't cross it. She crossed it.
Would he have taken that plea had you known about this email, this memo?
Absolutely not.
When I talked with Jacob Hill, he said he came down here because he's a roofer and needed to work year-round. Well, after all this, he said no one would hire him, so he had to go back to northern Minnesota, and he said, try making a living there doing roofing in the winter. When we asked the Punta Gorda police for an interview, we were told the chief will not be providing an interview on the memo you referenced, continuing the public discussion of Officer Cole's work product prior to the conclusion of both FDLE's investigation and our own internal investigation is unfair and possibly improper on our end. That memo, as well as last night's story regarding those other memos, are on our website at winknews.com. Dave Colbreth, Wink News Now.
I think that that was a sign of just arrogance. I mean, you don't need to double and triple check yourself. You don't need to have other people double and triple check you. You don't have to have a procedure in place. You don't have to make sure. Like, all of those things just make me sick to my stomach.
On August 9th, 36 people watched as a Punta Gorda police officer shot and killed a woman during a Citizens Academy demonstration. Officer Lee Cole's still on paid administrative leave after the death of 73-year-old Mary Knowlton. But could it have been prevented?
Tonight, only Wink News has memos that were not in Cole's personnel file. After weeks of requests and hundreds of dollars spent, Punta Gorda police finally gave us those memos with allegations of bad arrests, insubordination, and policy violation. Wink News investigative reporter Dave Colbreth has the details.
Nobody should be running around this town with a gun and a badge with these type of allegations against them.
No self-respecting law enforcement agency that I've ever encountered should be tolerating this kind of behavior.
Those are two longtime Charlotte County attorneys. Both of them were shocked when I showed them these memos obtained by Wink News after the Punta Gorda police fought hard to prevent us from getting them.
Just shows that the Punta Gorda Police Department was hiding this stuff. Every news agency in the country was asking for these type of documents.
These new memos show Lee Cole's problems with the Punta Gorda police. But Cole's problems started in his rookie year with the Miramar police, where he was involved in 2 internal affairs investigations. This one, where he yanked a man out of the back of his cruiser. After just 1 year, Cole was forced to resign. He then applied for jobs at over 24 police agencies near Miami. Wink News obtained Cole's application files from most of them, who turned him down. So he then redirected his efforts to Southwest Florida, where the only agency interested in him was Punta Gorda. It was a year after he left Miramar when Cole was hired by Punta Gorda.
Miramar got it right. The other 25 police departments that refused to hire him got it right. Punta Gorda got it wrong.
Cole's personnel file with the Punta Gorda police shows many positive things he's done. But then there's these newly obtained memos that were not in his personnel file.
When you hire somebody that was asked to resign from a different police force, they should be on thin ice.
The first incident Wink News discovered is depicted in this memo. It was February 4th, 2015, when Cole accidentally discharged his taser at home. He was never disciplined.
To have an officer not check his taser before he does a spark test, that is Barney Fife stuff.
On October 23, 2015, a supervisor, Thomas Keegan, wrote this memo saying Cole was insubordinate to him and questioned his authority.
I think that him being insubordinate to his lieutenant seems to kind of go along with all of the other misconduct that he's alleged to have engaged in, because, you know, each one of those is kind of him being arrogant.
Then exactly 1 week later, Cole saw a man riding his bicycle at night without a light. The man wouldn't stop, so Cole sicked his dog on him. But Wink News has now learned from this email that there was what was called a community initiative in place, where officers were supposed to give warnings and free bicycle lights to people instead of arresting them. The Punta Gorda police ultimately settled with the man for $60,000, and over $120,000 worth of medical bills were written off by a hospital. The Punta Gorda police also hired an expert who determined that Cole did not do anything wrong.
I don't care what they say, you know, him allowing that dog to rip the chest wall out of a man who was driving without lights on a bicycle, that's insanity.
The dog bite issue got attention around the world, and Cole said he was receiving death threats. So he improperly accessed the state computer system to remove his name from public records. He got a slap on the wrist from Chief Tom Lewis, who, ironically, illegally accessed the same system himself 5 years earlier and got suspended.
As an attorney, I mean, the Florida bar would be smacking me around something fierce, because you can't just engage in constant misconduct. He's got 5 or 6 incidents of serious misconduct. He's still a cop.
We asked Punta Gorda police officials for an interview about this story, and we were told, quote, "The chief will not be providing an interview on the memos you referenced." Continuing the public discussion of Officer Cole's work product prior to the conclusion of both FDLE's investigation and our own internal investigation is unfair and possibly improper on our end. Now, after all of that, That's not the most egregious things these attorneys say Lee Cole has done. That involved a wrongful arrest. We'll have that tomorrow night in part 2 of this story. Dave Culberth, Wink News Now.
Drugs and stuff like the German jails, they would have, we got 7, I'm a Canadian originally, we got 7 times more.
Will you do me a favor?
What's that?
If you want to record me, I have no problem with that.
Right.
But this is not a public building.
Last time we were here, we already discussed it. They said we could.
But there are other people here that may not know that you're recording them.
Okay, last time I was here, I asked if I could record, they said yes.
I have no problem with it.
Right.
I believe the facility is probably in the same mindset as they were last time. But just out of common courtesy, let people know they're being recorded, please.
You're being recorded.
Well, wait till everybody's here.
You have to let them know, too. Are you running? He doesn't answer questions, I'm sorry.
Answer questions?
No.
You just did. You did.
If you have any questions for me, you can talk to my attorney, Kevin Shirley.
I gotta meet Kevin, man. He's popular,
my
man. He is popular.
No, but he was the lawyer for the guy that sold when I bought my house 18 years ago.
Okay. You want me to sit here next to you, buddy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anyhow, should be interesting. Good. You're from PUNTA, GORDA?
Oh, did you meet him yet?
So am I.
Now, tell me you were Canadian.
This is John Sertan. This is Ian. This is the guy that's doing all the filming, going for public records requests and stuff.
Oh.
They like him. They like him so much they trespassed him.
They do. I'm very popular.
What was the latest video on? Looking for a trespasser, Jim Mello.
Oh, Jim Mello was trespass from a real estate office for causing a disturbance in there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And
But the only record you got was 2015. That was the one?
yeah.
Oh.
But they were giving the other guy like a hard time about getting the record, so I had to go down there and straighten those things out with him.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, and by the way, we tried to get L.A. Daniels and the black people to come today. I'm totally serious. Totally serious. I said, let's meet here and have a conversation.
It's a shame.
It is. So.
The meeting's canceled. Maybe next month. It's going to be same time, same place?
The meeting's canceled?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Well, we're the community.
Feedback from the Traby Woods community.
We can't be part of it.
You're not members of the Traby Woods community, no.
Oh my God, that's a good point.
You got your number,
You
man.
just told me man.
It's a meeting to discuss in the community, and now it's canceled.
Yeah.
Wow.
But seriously, I really appreciate you gentlemen.
No, but you told me a few minutes ago it's here to discuss a community discussion meeting, and now it's canceled.
Meeting's canceled, yes, sir.
Because I thought it was a community discussion meeting. That's what you told me a few minutes ago.
Yeah, we're members of the community. We like to be heard.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming.
When will Cole face justice? Will Officer Cole ever face justice, Mr. Lewis?
That's a great point. Ask again.
Will Officer Cole ever face justice, Chief Lewis?
What about Officer? What about Tom Lewis? So what do you want to do? Go for coffee? Let's not waste the time. I can't. I'm shocked too, man.
He just told me
that you're going to have a meeting, right?
And I says, what is it about? And he says, it's just a community to discuss things in the community.
Right, he wasn't specific on which community, though.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He just said community.
Exactly.
I says, what is it, about? And I says, well, that's great. That's what we should have.
It ain't worth it.
Okay.
Once they've got their mind made up.
All right, so what do you want to do? Let's not waste this. You want to do coffee somewhere or what?
Sure.
Harry, where's the closest place for coffee?
We could have just used this community center. We don't have to have anybody here.
I can't.
That's what I can't figure out. This is a public place.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you don't even need any kind of permission to
Right.
film? I don't understand that.
He's supposedly saying I do have the right to film, but I'm supposed to let everybody know.
I don't believe that's true in Florida. Zoom in on this God we trust part. I'd like to find out what God they're talking about.
That is true.
What kind of trust is that?
So Ian, let's not waste it. Let's do coffee somewhere. Wait. All right, so John, you want to do coffee somewhere then? Where's the closest? I'm shocked too. Totally shocked. I'm totally shocked, man. So what do you want? You want to follow us or?
Yeah, I'll follow you.
All right, we're down here. I'm in the white convertible.
Okay, I'll follow you.
So where do you want to go for coffee? Let's not waste it.
Whatever you decide, I'm just easy to get on with, man.
He just shut the meeting down. He said we're not from the community, so he canceled it. So let's not waste it. What you want to do? Let's do coffee somewhere.
I'd give it about 2 or 3 minutes. These two just showed up for the meeting.
I know. Well, now 2 black people just showed up from the community, so are they going to have a meeting? I know, that's why he said maybe wait a minute. Oh, have you ever seen anything like this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, all right.
Oh, yeah.
Are you here for the meeting?
What?
Are you here for the meeting? Hey, I think we got a meeting, man. We got another one. Yep. Your door. Okay, he still canceled it? All right, can I give you my card then? Hey, the reason why I showed up and the reason why he's freaking out, I unfortunately experienced the corruption here myself. So 3 years ago, I started Charlotte County COPWATCH. I was the guy that was in the newspaper and all 3 channels where they illegally looked me up on the David system. Not to bring me flowers, but to do bad things because I'm exposing the corruption here. So that's why I think I'm shocked he shut it down. So we need cops. You know we need cops. I know we need cops. We're trying to show people that we're here. You can hold them accountable. You can do different things. You know what I mean? Is it alright if I give you my business card? All right. So in 3 years, by the grace of God, I'm a Christian. The YouTube channel went nuts. 40 million views, 38,000 subscribers. In fact, I'll even give you my regular card. So I'm sorry that he did this. We seriously are here. We need police, but we were just here to let you guys know that we're here. If you ever have, if you ever need any help, investigating anything, or if you need a story put out, because internal investigations won't do anything. We were the ones that helped break the dog mall story. We're also the ones that did in Collier County, 7 sheriffs beat the crap out of a white guy. He was in the hospital for 3 days. We broke that story. So we really are trying. Okay. We're trying to help. And sorry that it shut. We are shocked that he just killed it like this.
Okay.
So what was your name?
Reverend Brown. Reverend Howard.
Please get a hold of me, man. Do you guys got a card? I'm shocked. I really, really am. This guy right here, John Surcan, he helps the homeless over in Charlotte County. So he's going to let you guys know that he's here too. So he helps people there. In fact, you know what's crazy? He's the one that the guy that supposedly got away from the sheriff at the water and hung himself. That's his landlord. He knows the guy. This wouldn't have happened. Like the guy said, he knew the guy. He didn't hang himself. You know what I mean? 65. So, anyways, I'm sorry that it bombed out. All right. Oh, are we filming? Yeah, he was supposed to be. That's what I told him.
So why don't you want to do with us? L.A. Daniels.
Do you not value our opinion?
All right.
Is Officer Cole ever going to face justice, Mr. Lewis?
Why, who are you with? Just a regular person? That's fine. I don't answer questions.
I'm a regular person. Hey, Andrew, I wanted you to meet David. This is Dick's friend.
Okay.
Andrew. Who are you, a regular
Andy.
person?
No, I actually am. I'm
not a regular person.
Careful. Careful. Hey, let's not waste this. Let's do coffee. What's the closest thing to here for coffee? Here's my card. Because Surcan's here and everything. You didn't even get to meet him. He helps the homeless in Fort Charlotte.
Oh, okay. How you doing? Hi. How you doing? Yeah.
Okay, where's the closest place for coffee?
See you later, man. It was a short meeting. Sorry, I didn't get more time.
I'm not sure. Let's go over here and we'll all talk.
All right, John, we're gonna discuss over here what we're gonna do. But be careful for those bike racks. You almost got it.